Yesterday, President Trump was asked about Education Secretary Linda McMahon and, of course, the Department of Education, which there's been some, rumblings about, okay, are we abolishing it? Are we not abolishing it? What is going on? What's the major plan? And President Trump responded with this. Watch.
And on the Education Department, why nominate Linda McMahon to be the Education Department Secretary if you're going to get rid of the Education Department?
Because I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job. Education Department. So we're ranked number 40 out of 40 schools, right? We're ranked number 1 in cost per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. And we're ranked at the bottom of the list. We're ranked very badly. And what I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice. But in addition to that, I want the states to run schools. And I want Linda to put herself out of a job.
So do you think that's something you can do with an executive order? Or are you going to ask Congress to do it?
I would like to be able to. Look, if I could give the schools back to Iowa and Idaho and Indiana and all these places that run properly.
Is it hot in here or is it just me? I'm just saying don't threaten me with a good time because it sounds a whole hell of a lot like President Trump is hinting at just straight up abolishing the Department of Education. And joining me now to talk about it, we've got Oklahoma's State Superintendent Ryan Walters, good friend of the program. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Thank you for having me on, Sarah.
Yeah, tell me, is it just me or did you just hear President Trump kind of say, yeah, I want Linda out of a job, meaning let's just get rid of the whole damn thing?
That's right. Look, President Trump has wasted no time. I mean, we come to work every day so excited at the new executive orders that are rolling out of the Trump administration. And look, I think he's clearly got his sights on the Department of Education, eliminating it altogether, returning education back to the states. And to his point, President Trump has laid out the clearest vision on education of any president we've had. You eliminate the Federal Department of Education, get rid of it, send that back to the states, and then states, school choice, empower parents. Let's get the filth out of schools. Let's talk about Americanism, patriotism. This is the clear path to success academically. Like he said, we've fallen behind all these other countries. That right there is the formula for success for our kids.
Yeah, I totally agree. And not to mention, you kind of referenced it, but all of these executive orders that are coming out that affect schools, because you have, President Trump signing orders last week seeking to control how schools teach about race and gender. You're not allowed to teach white people that they're racist. You're not allowed to teach that there are 7,800 genders, directing more tax dollars to private schools, deporting, foreign pro-Palestinian protesters who were taking to the streets, taking over these higher education campuses. And then, of course, he was placing dozens of employees at the Education Department on administrative leave, paid, but still on administrative leave, kind of putting them all on notice. Hey, by the way, we're going to rid the federal workforce of employees associated with diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility efforts. To your point, Ryan, this president means what he says what he means, and is feels like ready to just, I'm sorry, someone's going to hit me with this, but metaphorically blow up all of the Washington establishment.
Yeah, look, everything you just listed is amazing. You look at getting rid of DEI, you look at getting back to pro-Americanism. I'm going to tell you one more. He said that we're not going to have sanctuary schools anymore. Yeah. He said, look, we are not going to say, hey, criminals, by the way, if you're in a school, we're not going to come in and get you. He said, listen, here's what we're going to do. Schools, you're going to cooperate with us because, as Tom Homan reminded us a couple weeks ago, MS-13 gang members, average age is just 19 or 20 years old. They have a ton of MS-13 members that are ages 14 to 19. You don't want law enforcement to know where those gang members are when they may be sitting in a school next to your children. Mm-hmm. You don't think if there is children being trafficked through a school, law enforcement should know that? Think about how appalling it is to see schools around the country say they're not going to cooperate with ICE, they're not going to cooperate with law enforcement. They are the ones endangering kids. President Trump has been the one that's fought through all this woke nonsense, all this politically incorrect nonsense, and said, no, if you're here illegally, we're going to send you back home. And yes, we are professionals. We know how to do this. We're going to collect information. We're not going to say that you're safe havens throughout the country. We are going to bring back common sense and law and order. I'm going to tell you, just for Oklahoma, it's cost us $474 million to educate illegal immigrant children. Yeah. Think about what this will mean for the country to get this back under control.
That's insane. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, and Texas is the same, by the way. I mean, the numbers that you read are just incredible. And remember, this isn't a knock on you, but it's like, remember, whenever you say Oklahoma is spending, that is every single taxpayer in the state of Oklahoma. That is not like play money. That is people's hard-earned money that they are paying in taxes that are going to illegal immigrants who, quite frankly, are criminals just by the very nature of them being in the country illegally. So to that point, Ryan, I know that you are kind of in hot water by the left, which I personally love because that just means you're over the target. But this time, because you're always in hot water with them, it seems. But this time I read that you said, hey, Oklahoma students, they should have to fill out a form that says that they should indicate whether or not they're here legally, because we should know that. Oh, and by the way, to your point about President Trump, if President Trump is serious about this, I'm going to let him bring ICE into the schools and remove illegal aliens who shouldn't be here, who could be a detriment to our American citizen children, students.
Yeah, crazy concept here. Yeah. If you enroll in an Oklahoma public school, you are going to provide a driver's license, you're going to provide a birth certificate, and if you're not in this country legally, you're going to tell us what country you came from. Pretty simple, pretty common sense. I mean, California just 2 years ago was requiring students to show a vaccine card or they wouldn't let them into the school. I think here in Oklahoma, we have a little more common sense and say, look, we just want to know who you are. We want to know if you're in the country illegally. Number one, that deals with the resource question I already addressed with you about $470 million. Where's that money going? Number two, if Trump and law enforcement and ICE want information around people in the country illegally, we will unapologetically provide them with that information. They are law enforcement. They are seeking out criminal behavior in our schools and around our state. Absolutely, we will work with them. Absolutely, we will get them that information. And absolutely, they are professionals. I mean, you hear the left. CNN, I was on there the other day, and that she was just absolutely, yelling over me, shouting over me, just didn't want to, wanted to continue to belabor and lie about law enforcement like they're coming in and just throwing kindergartners around in a classroom. I'm going, these are professional people that, number one, if you don't tell them where the kids are, so what if they deport mom and dad and kids are sitting at the bus stop waiting on mom and dad, now you're going to hit them for, separating families. The Trump administration said, look, we're going to keep them together. But yeah, we got to know where the kids are in order to do that.
Right. Yeah, again, as Borders Are, Tom Homan said, families can be deported together. It's really that easy. And I understand that that's a difficult situation to navigate. But if you want to place blame at the feet of the parents who decided to put the children in that position to begin with, and then none of this would have happened. I don't know if you saw, I was out at a pro-illegal immigration, anti-ICE protest rally, whatever you want to call it. And it was incredible to me to see the amount of Mexican flags being waved, it really braggadociously in our faces, just Viva la Mexico. And I'm like, I don't understand, Ryan. Like, make it make sense. If you don't believe in and agree with our customs and you're not coming here to assimilate and be an American, a true American, and willing to have that loyalty to this country, I just don't understand why you're here.
And by the way, to your point earlier, taxpayers have a right to know. They're the ones paying for all of these services. They're the ones that are assuming that these services are going to be provided for their children, that's why they're taxpayers. Here's for the next generation. They deserve to know where those taxpayer dollars are going. They deserve law enforcement to enforce the law as they should have been doing all along, but Joe Biden wasn't allowing them to, and bring back a sense of law and order to the country. And again, if you're in this country illegally, it's amazing to me, the left, how wokeism works in their brain. We have American citizens that have been murdered, raped, and assaulted by illegal immigrants. They don't shed a tear. But Selena Gomez, oh my goodness, illegal immigrants are actually going back home like President Trump promised. And it's just crocodile tears like crazy. The liberal hypocrisy and the way that they always put America last. I mean, they care more about every single individual outside the country or against American interest than an American citizen. And Trump's been clear. America first. Yes. That is the policy.
Yes, absolutely. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you know you do. Click here.